High expectations have been set for India's economic progress amidst IMF's positive growth projections and Tesla's imminent launch in our country. Gaurie Dwivedi interviewed Indian economist KV Subramanian, who expressed great optimism for the future of our country. He also claims that the Tesla factory in India will be a total game changer and predicts that India will exceed the IMF's projections. Listen in.
We're speaking at a time when global majors are set to come to India, make big ticket investments, whether it's Tesla, whether it's Apple, they're all looking to make India their manufacturing hub. This will give a fillip to India's aspirations to be a manufacturing hub, but how far do you think we are from achieving those kind of ambitions?
So I think these developments are very, very important, especially Tesla and Apple has already set up shop. And, when I was checking some of the data, about 150,000 jobs have already been created direct jobs have been created by Apple establishing, in India. And, about 4 trillion rupees of, iPhones have been produced in the last year, of which about 1.2 trillion just for exports. And this with only 14% of global production of Apple, happening in India. So you can, get a sense of how, important some of these very important manufacturers, setting up shop in India will be for India's manufacturing sector growth. I think Tesla will be very important. If you look at, the experience that we had with the automobile sector in the 1980s, the Maruti 800, for instance, was just being assembled in India, with all the components being imported from Suzuki. But over decades, actually, the entire ancillary and the entire support system, developed, which is testimony to the way, a sector grows. Same is now happening with electronics manufacturing as well. So I think given the importance of, of Tesla and especially, e-vehicles, I think this would be a very, very important marquee, investment for India and its manufacturing sector growth.
So you think Tesla coming to India could be the big game changer that Indian manufacturing has been waiting for?
Well, I would say that, Apple coming in, setting shop, Samsung, I think all of those very important landmarks. In a similar way, Tesla coming, will certainly be an important landmark as well.
Sir, firstly, the IMF report card that has come out as far as the health of the global economy, it puts India right at the center in terms of being a key driver of global growth. How satisfied are you with the numbers that are being put out, given that you've felt in the past and successively that India can actually achieve 8% and higher growth rates?
So, Gaurie, if you look at the numbers that have been put up for the year 2023, which actually corresponds to our financial year ending March of 2024, IMF is estimating growth at 7.8%. And I think that is closer to what I expect. You would recall that in the first 3 quarters, we've had growth of 8.2%, 8.1% and 8.4%. And so even with a lower, that compared to these 3 quarters, even at 7.3% growth in the 4th quarter, which I think the numbers will come out in May, India will have annual growth of 8%. So the 7.8% estimate for 2023 is closer to, what I expect. For the next year, which is 2024, the fund has estimated growth at 6.5%. I think that it's likely that growth will be, 7% and thereabouts. So I do think that there is scope, as it has happened. If you notice, the projection for even this year, fund's projection originally was significantly lower. And as the numbers have come through, they've actually revised it upwards. I expect a similar thing to happen, I guess, for the next year as well.
But why do you think, or do you think that there is a disconnect between how you view India's economic potential as compared to how IMF views the same?
So if you go by the data, in September of 2021, when we were emerging out of the pandemic, in my media interactions, I had mentioned that India will have 7% plus growth, and that is what has indeed transpired. If you look at the projections of the fund, IMF staff's projections, they have been less than 7%, while growth has actually been more than 7%. So I guess the data speaks for itself.